And I have some stuff that I really need parents to know.
Shawn Ryan exposes this satanic cult that's targeting your kids. Now, caveat, working in anti-trafficking over the last 15 years, we usually tell people that sex trafficking is a lot more normal than you would think, and it's not these crazy satanic groups, but this one actually is.
And did you know that these cults are now getting into the places you once thought would be safe?
Yikes.
Shawn Ryan, former Navy SEAL and CIA contractor, brought on ethical hacker Ryan Montgomery to expose how the satanic group 764 group is actually sextorting children. And guys, this is crazy.
The average vulnerable target that they're going for is 9 to 17 years old.
9
to 17, that's the average. They'll go for anybody, but that's usually what they run into in these games like Minecraft and Roblox and other social media apps.
And just so you know, the 764 group actually focuses on extreme violence towards children. So that includes sextortion, causing them to harm themselves, even delete themselves like on live streams, commit violence against like others, bestiality.
It's so dark.
It's so bad and dark.
They're targeting minors, and I have a few screenshots to show you this, on mental health forums. So they'll go to a mental health forum where they see somebody is struggling as a kid, saying that they're either being bullied in school and they don't want to live anymore, or that they're self-harming already, and they'll pretend. So they lure from those groups, they groom them by trying to be their friend or pretend to be their boyfriend and give them.
So that's actually exactly what like traditional sex trafficking does.
Yeah, no, and this is like, honestly, this makes so much sense to me. Knowing how traffickers work, knowing how recruitment works, finding the places where the most vulnerable are is really where the most vicious predators are, like sex traffickers, because they're just trying to exploit those things. And knowing the trends of how traffickers manipulate and recruit, this makes a lot of sense.
Well, and even like we kind of talk about it like old versus like new red flags in sex trafficking and exploitation, in that like traditionally this like lover boy method is used. Like these traffickers are in like traditional trafficking, and how we think of it, like they are targeting a young person, pretending to be in love with them and start a romantic relationship. And like Ryan here is saying that these guys online, the 7-6 like group cult, is actually using the same exact methods that we've been talking about in sex trafficking for the last 15 years. And so unfortunately it's a script that actually like works, but he continues on.
Actual mental health therapy. And I'll read those conversations, some of the grooming that they do. And they even have playbooks on how grooming, and they have an over 240-page manual on how to do this to children that they share amongst each other. And they, like I said, they're all in mental health forums. They even had, I have a tweet that I took a screenshot of, I'll show you, where it's a group that where they're saying like, join here if you're struggling with mental health. And it's just a direct link into one of these horrible groups that is.
So, and this is something that like even millennials were doing this way back when like internet chat rooms were like first coming into play, where like millennials would go online and were like, oh my gosh, we're struggling with stuff. Like no other generation understands me. And they're finding these like online forums to connect with one another and like get support. Like To Write Love on Our Arms was like one of the OG mental health, like I feel like online forums for that. I remember being in junior high, like reading it, and I'd be crying, like reading like other kids, like their stories and what they were struggling with. And it sounds like this group, the 764 group, is actually creating like fake ads for these kinds of platforms for teens to go on and try to get help. They're reaching out for help, and these predators are taking advantage of it. Like that's horrible.
Y'all, this isn't just some opportunistic creeper that like found himself in a situation that he's like taking advantage of. This is really strategic.
It's methodical. There's like a handbook he mentions, which I think we've got a little bit more on this clip even before we get into that.
As soon as that person or child, mostly children, believes that person's their boyfriend or their friend or their girlfriend, one or the other, and they send those nude photos, the second that happens, then they go right into the extortion and extreme violence. All they want to create what's called, and like I said, I'll get into the slang, they want to create what's called a lure book. So it's like a collection of all of their extortion material that they could use against them.
I didn't know that that was actually a term. Like we've been educating on sextortion and the trend of predators going online, being romantically interested in a kid, tricking them into sending like nudes or compromising images and videos, and then blackmailing them with that. But I didn't realize they're creating like these lore books to like kind of creating that database that is so strategic. Like you were saying, it's so strategic.
Yeah, like a portfolio of blackmail items to use against these kids. And I think he described sex trafficking to a T there of the lover boy method, and using that, like, I think one thing that is really important to understand in this is that this kind of grooming, this type of stuff is all relational.
Yes.
And when we understand that like there's this relational element, it gives us a much better path of how to combat it that we're going to talk about at the end as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like you were saying earlier, like this is methodical, this is intentional. And Shawn and Ryan actually read the introduction to that sextortion handbook that they mentioned. And guys, this is insane and so freaking disturbing.
Look how long that takes to read, the average. They have a whole handbook on people, like they train each other on how to extort minors into doing these horrible things.
Jeez.
So this is actually predators training other predators online for this. And this like 764 group, we need to do a video on this, but it was actually started by a teenager. And so this isn't even like these creeper adults like going after kids. Like this is like teens exploiting teens.
The handbook is a comprehensive guide that provides deep insights into the tactics and strategies that can be used to blackmail and exploit victims, primarily through the use of compromising photos or videos. It delves into aspects of coercion and highlights the various methods to maintain control.
Oh, coercion.
Coercion. Instill fear and coerce victims into complying with the perpetrator's demands. Additionally, it offers step-by-step instructions for everything there is to know about carrying out a successful scheme, from identifying potential targets to executing the blackmail process to creating convincing fake identities, maintaining anonymity online, monetizing, and safely storing content, ensuring that the perpetrator remains untraceable. This is not a
that like all of like that is so strategic. That is, and we've heard of this like the first time that we went to like a conference where they really talked about and educated on sextortion. Like they talked about this. I didn't realize like how extensive it was. And I think this is one of many. This is specific to 764 group.
Yeah, there was another group in that
Nigeria
that was sextorting and scamming. That was for the purpose of making money.
Yes.
Where this is like
sadistic.
There's like a chaotic intent in this of like anarchy, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Handbook to teach victims how to protect themselves or seek help, but rather to teach perpetrators how to locate and exploit their victims. So, my dear reader,
I'm gonna start cussing. Like, this is so disgusting that this exists. And
yeah, this is a handbook to teach victims how to protect themselves. Is not a handbook to teach victims how to protect themselves or seek help, but rather teach perpetrators how to locate and exploit them. And they know they're owning that they're the bad guys.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
Yeah.
Choose to go further, it is at your own risk. You've been warned, but on the other side, you may find a way to unleash your deepest desires. We can all only hope, right?
Yes.
Oh, that is so sick and disturbing.
Yeah.
And this is where it's like, this isn't impulsive behavior. Like you were mentioning before, it's not just the opportunist that has like these like sadistic, I don't know, fantasies that they're trying to like, oh, there's an opportunity. I've never had this opportunity before. I'm going to take advantage of it. No, this is actually methodical. This is like a long-term strategy. And so much of it mirrors what we've been teaching about and educating about in trafficking for over a decade, which is absolutely insane.
So I cut the book at that point, but there's 240-page book, and here's what they would talk about for a 14-year-old, and they rank it based on, like, you can read it. It's crazy.
Choose this age if you are specifically seeking young victims who can be controlled for a long time. 14-year-old identity. Victim reach, 3 stars. Receiving nudes, 3 stars. Success, 5 stars. Long-term victim, 4 stars.
Yeah, and they're doing that for a 14-year-old. They're saying that's the odds of all of them things happening.
So that's where he said in the end was like those stars are the odds of all of that happening.
Yeah,
like
no, that's like a rating. So he was saying they have a rating system. Can you scrub back a little bit?
Yeah.
Or a profile of like a 14-year-old. Here are your odds of long-term success, of getting inappropriate material. And so they have that for each age group, which is so insane
so the likelihood
that they have stats on.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about it that way. Stats on how likely this is gonna.
This is dark. This is deep. Like the amount of darkness is deep in this. This is not good.
Well, and this shows that like the harm is organized, and so awareness has to be organized too. Like we can't just like off chance like hope that like parents and kids like find out about this so that they can stay safe. It's like, no, these guys are being methodical. They have a whole handbook and playbook. Like, we need to respond in kind and be just as organized and way more effective in our awareness as
Big
well.
time. And so, yeah, with that, the big question is, what can be done to keep your kids safe? And so Ryan Montgomery actually exposes how anybody can stop these crazy wackos before it's too late.
And the most important one is being aware of what this stuff is. Do your research. Watch the news, or Google search some of these terms on the news. 764 Group, The Calm, Roblox, Predators on the internet. Watch some of these podcasts. Listen to some of Shawn's episodes. Get yourself familiar so that when you have a conversation with your kid, when you decide it's the right age to talk to them about this or that, then you have less of a chance of them falling into this vicious cycle. And if they do fall into it, they feel comfortable enough about it to come to you about it and tell you.
That is literally, so what we were talking about earlier with recruitment being relational, so is protecting our kids is also relational.
Yep.
And so, again, exploitation happens in the context of relationship, and so does safeguarding our kids.
And protection. Absolutely. And this is really where like there's no single automation. There's not going to be any new AI technology that's going to 1000% keep our kids safe online. And so like that awareness piece can sometimes, like his answer can sometimes feel like, oh, like that's it. Like, but unless you're law enforcement that has the technology,
I just got to learn all this stuff.
Or unless you're like an ethical hacker like Ryan is, like you're not going to have the ability to go in, find these people, prosecute them, put them behind bars, right?
Yeah.
And so like as the safe adults in kids' lives or students ourselves, like we need to be able to know what this is. And I loved what he talked about with like, hey, you need the awareness. You need to talk to your kids about this so that they come to you. That's something that when we talk to even law enforcement, they always say like there's this moment where the victim had a chance for it not to like continue, for them to get out of it. But it's usually the shame. It's the secrecy. It's like, I went this far and like what's going to happen? They feel like they're the ones to blame. Like they're what's wrong. Like that shame is so crippling. So if we can teach our kids like, hey, it doesn't matter what you've done, what anyone has done to you, there's no choice that you could make that would make me love you less. And so come to me. And talking about these situations, right? Like passing and sending like explicit imagery is really commonplace for teens. It's highly illegal, but it's very commonplace for teens. And so these scenarios, that's why these predators are able to do this almost like even so easily with kids. And so as parents, it's like, hey, you might make a decision that's not a good decision. We've all made mistakes before in life, but there's no mistake that's too far from coming back from.
Yeah.
And I think that that's definitely, that secure attachment, like you were saying, is the number one protective factor to keeping our kids safe from trafficking and exploitation.
Big time. And so, like you said earlier, when grooming is this organized, prevention also needs to be as well too. And so if you would like those frameworks and tools that Ryan was talking about, we've actually simplified it all together in our free Red Flags program. And so not only does this armor up your kids, but it actually sets up the kind of connection that most parents want with their kids as well.
And so you can go straight on our website and sign up for free for our Red Flags program. You can just scroll, enter in your information. It's going to give you automatic access. This is great. It goes over all those recruitment methods so that you can protect yourself, you can protect your family, and most importantly, you can protect your kids from exploitation.